Hey friends! In my searches for the more interesting streets around town, I wanted to pull back a little bit and find something on a bigger scale. That curiosity led me to hunting for the first road in the state of Missouri, and in that hunt I found quite a road. Join me on a brief trip down memory lane to the 1700s as we explore the word on the street for Three Notch Road. Back in 1735, French-Canadian colonists founded one of the very first permanent European settlements west of the Mississippi, 29 years before St. Louis was founded in 1764. That little settlement was St. Genevieve. About 30 miles away from this settlement was the first lead mine in the Mississippi Valley, Mine Lamont. Opened around the year 1700 and named after Anthony de Lamont Cadillac, who was the governor of Louisiana from 1710 to 1717, Mine Lamont was a 24,000-acre tract of land that was rich in lead deposits and was a major reason for people to venture into this area at the time. The Frenchies at St. Genevieve wanted to get their hands on some of that lead, and primitive trails were blazed through the woods and hills of the area. Over time, a favorable trail was established, and because there wasn't really an efficient way to dig out and clear the way for travelers, it was easy to get lost in the forest. To help keep people on the right path, an ancient Native American technique of notching trees along the trail was used. Popular until the early 1800s, the common practice was lesser paths were marked with one notch, secondary paths were notched twice, and major roadways were notched 3 times. Because of its importance to the area, the trail from St. Genevieve to Mine Lamont became known as Three Notch Road. The first established road in Missouri made it possible to transport lead out to the rest of the country, creating Missouri's first industry. The mine caused a great boom to the area, and the primitive road was eventually made obsolete by the expansion of railroads and other more modern roads. But Three Notch Road can be roughly retraced on a leisurely drive through the rolling Missouri hills. Around almost every bend is another postcard quality scene and little glimpses into the past here and there that help you imagine the time where settlers were facing the long day's haul back by horse or foot to St. Genevieve. The route is mostly uneventful aside from its serenity and the beauty of the Missouri countryside, but there's a little hidden gem along the way in the woods if you know where to look for it. The original Three Notch Road forded the South Fork of the Saline Creek, and right about halfway between the mine and St. Genevieve is the old burnt mill. It was recognized that the creek's current could be utilized for grinding grain, and sometime around 1818, grist mills were created for just that reason. During the 1850s, however, a flood ravaged the creek and the mills alongside it. The owners were as stubborn as the creek itself, however, and they were determined to build a structure that would withstand the power of nature. The 4-story mill was built so that the current would flow through the ground floor and turn the giant millstones that helped grind the grain into flour. After completion, the men involved broke out some whiskey to celebrate. In their drunken celebration, they declared that the Almighty himself could not destroy the mill again. Well, while the Almighty never had another good chance to test the mill, man sure had his part in its destruction. Legend has it that the mill was burned down by its owner for an insurance payout. Unfortunately for him, his son, who had been sent out east to procure the policy on the building, instead spent his time on women and liquor. Today, the Saline Creek is much lower than it was nearly 200 years ago, and while the burnt mill isn't what it used to be, what's left of the structure still stands strong against the elements and may continue to stand for another 200 years. Well, there's a little bit of history on Missouri's first road. If you're a fan of good driving and a little bit of a history buff, I highly recommend a trip down to explore this area. The people are friendly, the wine is fine, and the roads are old. And that's the word on the street. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the video. I know I was really excited to find the first road in Missouri. Hey, if you want to help out the channel, like the video and share it with your friends. It might seem like a small thing, but it really is a huge help to growing a YouTube channel. Well, until next time, take care.